3 weeks before my wedding, my fiancé looked me in the eyes and said, "I can't marry you." Not, "I need time." Not, "I'm confused." Just 4 words. And when I asked him why, he refused to tell me. The strangest part wasn't that Ethan ended our engagement. It was that he seemed terrified of me finding out the real reason. Our wedding invitations had already been mailed. The venue was booked. My dress was hanging in my mother's spare bedroom. And suddenly, the man I'd planned my entire future with was standing in our kitchen, asking me to let him walk away. I thought he was cheating. I thought there was another woman. I thought maybe he'd simply stopped loving me. But the truth was something I never imagined. I followed Ethan into the living room. "Did you meet someone?" He shook his head. "Is this about me?" "No." "Then what is it?" He looked at the floor. "I can't explain it." That answer hurt more than anything else. Because if he'd cheated, at least there would have been something concrete to hate. But instead, I was left with 100 unanswered questions. He packed a suitcase that night. Before leaving, he placed his engagement ring on the kitchen counter. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Sarah, please don't ask your family about this." I stared at him. "My family?" He didn't answer. He simply picked up his suitcase and left. And that's when one thought entered my mind. Maybe this wasn't about Ethan. Maybe it was about someone close to me. The next morning, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. My friends assumed Ethan had cheated. My mother blamed wedding pressure. One friend told me he'd probably met someone younger, but I couldn't believe any of them. Ethan had never acted like a man who wanted to leave. In fact, he'd spent the previous month obsessing over wedding details. He had personally chosen the flowers. He had argued with the venue about the seating arrangement. He'd even surprised me by paying the final balance. So, why would someone who seemed completely committed suddenly disappear? Then I remembered something. 2 weeks before the breakup, Ethan had asked me an unusual question. "Has Megan ever borrowed money from you?" Megan was my older sister. I had laughed and said no. He hadn't laughed. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now I couldn't stop thinking about it. I called Megan. "Did Ethan ever ask you about money?" There was a pause, only 2 seconds, but I noticed it. "What kind of question is that?" I repeated what he'd asked me. Megan laughed nervously. "Sarah, don't let this breakup make you paranoid." That was exactly the answer I didn't want. I asked if she and Ethan had spoken privately. She said no. Then she changed the subject. That night, I opened the wedding planning email account. I wasn't looking for evidence. Honestly, I was just trying to understand what had happened. The venue had sent several payment confirmations. Everything looked normal. Deposit, catering, flowers, photography. Then I noticed something strange. A payment I'd completely forgotten about. Almost $8,000. It wasn't listed under the wedding package. It had been paid separately. And the recipient wasn't the venue. It was a financial services company. I called the company the next morning. They couldn't give me details because the account wasn't in my name, but they confirmed one thing. The payment had been made by Ethan, and it wasn't for the wedding. It was connected to an old financial obligation. I felt sick. I called Ethan. He answered immediately. "Sarah, please don't investigate this." "Why did you pay almost $8,000 to a financial company?" Silence. Then he said, "Because I had to." "Why?" "I can't tell you." I asked him if Megan was involved. He didn't answer. That silence was enough. I called Megan again. This time she didn't pick up. And for the first time, I wondered whether the wedding itself had become part of something I didn't understand. 2 days later, I received an email from the wedding planner. It was an ordinary payment summary, but attached to it was an invoice I had never seen. It showed that Ethan had paid several wedding expenses personally. I stared at the numbers. The amount he had paid was almost exactly the amount of money he'd later transferred to the financial company. Then I noticed the dates. He hadn't been paying for our wedding because he suddenly became generous. He had been moving money around because someone had a financial problem. Someone in my family. I confronted Megan in person. She finally broke down. She admitted she'd been struggling with serious debt. But then she said something that completely changed the story. Ethan found out. I froze. How? Megan looked at me. Because I asked him for money. Megan explained that months earlier, she'd made several bad financial decisions. She had accumulated debt she couldn't manage. She was afraid our mother would find out. So she asked Ethan for help. He agreed. But there was one condition. He didn't want me involved. Megan had promised she would repay him. She didn't. Instead, the debt grew. And eventually, Ethan discovered something worse. Megan had used money from a joint family account to make some of the payments. Money that technically belonged partly to me. Ethan confronted her. That's when Megan begged him not to tell me. She said it would destroy our family, but Ethan wasn't willing to keep covering the debt. So he began trying to separate the finances before our marriage. And that's when I realized why he'd been acting strange. The wedding wasn't the problem. Our future was. But there was still one question. Why did Ethan call off the wedding? Megan didn't know, so I called Ethan one final time. He agreed to meet me. We sat in his car outside a quiet coffee shop. I asked him directly, "Why didn't you just tell me?" He stared through the windshield. "Because I knew what you'd do." "What?" "You'd try to save her." I didn't respond. He continued, "You've spent your whole life protecting Megan. Every time she made a mistake, you fixed it. Every time she needed money, you helped. I was afraid we'd get married, combine our finances, and spend the rest of our lives cleaning up problems that weren't ours." That sentence hurt, because I knew he was right. Then Ethan finally told me the part he'd been too afraid to say. He hadn't ended our relationship because he stopped loving me. He ended it because he believed marrying me would mean marrying into a financial pattern I wasn't willing to break, and instead of asking me to choose between him and my sister, he left. I was angry. Not because he was wrong, because he had made the decision for me. I told him he should have trusted me enough to let me choose. He nodded. I know. For the first time in weeks, neither of us blamed the other. There was just silence, and the painful realization that sometimes people can love each other and still be completely wrong for the life they're building together. I went home and did something I should have done months earlier. I looked at my own finances, my own accounts, my own responsibilities, and I realized how little I actually knew about the financial situation inside my family. So I made changes. I separated the accounts. I stopped lending money I couldn't afford to lose. I told Megan I loved her, but I wouldn't rescue her anymore. She was angry at first, then she cried. Then, for the first time, she admitted she needed professional help instead of another family bailout. That was the moment I understood something. Ethan hadn't been trying to punish me. Megan hadn't necessarily wanted to hurt me either. But everyone had been hiding problems until those problems became someone else's responsibility. 6 months passed. The wedding venue refunded what it could. The invitations became a box I couldn't bring myself to throw away. Megan began working through her debt with a financial counselor, And Ethan? We didn't get back together, not immediately, but we started talking again, slowly, without wedding plans, without promises, without pretending the problems had never happened. One afternoon, Ethan asked me something simple. Do you think we could start over? I thought about everything, the wedding, the secrets, the money, the fear, and the 4 words that had broken my heart. I can't marry you. Then I smiled. Maybe, I said, but if we ever do this again, nobody makes decisions for the other person. He nodded. This time there were no rings, no venue, no invitations, just 2 people finally telling each other the truth. For a long time, I thought Ethan had broken my heart when he canceled our wedding. Now I see it differently. He didn't give me the ending I wanted. He gave me the truth I needed. Because the real betrayal wasn't the canceled wedding. It was the fact that everyone around me had been making financial decisions while assuming I would eventually clean up the consequences. And maybe that's why Ethan left. Not because he didn't love me, but because he was waiting for me to finally realize that loving your family doesn't mean carrying their problems forever. We never got the wedding we planned. But months later, when Ethan asked if I wanted to start again, I understood something I hadn't understood before. A relationship isn't protected by hiding problems. It's protected by telling the truth before those problems become impossible to fix. And this time, I wanted the truth.